Very good evening, everyone. I'm happy that you could join me for this MBA interview preparation webinar. We understand that interview sessions are just around the corner. Many of you have multiple admits, and this can be a very unnerving time. But there is nothing that cannot be done with the right kind of preparation. So, what we want to target during this session are the basics of MBA interviews and what you need to do with respect to your resumes, with respect to your stories, and presenting yourself. All right. So, I wish everyone all the best, and we are going to start. So, first of all, let's dissect the MBA interviews. Now, MBA interviews are basically, if I have to divide an MBA interview, I would divide it into three parts, and this is how they are mostly bifurcated. Number one is the technical aspect of an interview. Now, technical aspect can vary from the college that you are attending an interview to the profile that you have. For example, if you are a fresher just stepping out of the college, the technical aspect will more or less revolve around your undergraduate area of study. However, if you have been working for a couple of years or more, your current area of work and specializations are going to be the technical aspect. And of course, when you are sitting in for an MBA interview, whether it is with 2 years of work experience or 4 years of work experience, an interviewer will expect you to have a lot of awareness about your organization and your industry. So if you're coming from an automobile segment, you should know about your organization, the kind of market share it holds, the strengths, the weaknesses, etc., etc. If you're coming from IT industry, the same things apply. So be very clear about having this basic awareness about the organization and the industry. Please understand, an MBA interviewer is not going to expect you to know everything. They do not expect you to be pundits of the whole organization and how things are going, but the main headline items you should be clear of. And on that note, just a small diversion on thought. A lot of interviewers are going to ask you this question: what headlines did you read today in the newspaper? So be very sure of keeping yourself updated when it comes to the current affairs. Now, the second part of an MBA interview, it consists of the behavioral aspect of it. And with that, I mean you should be clear on your reasons to do an MBA. So all your W's are going to be will be coming into the picture. For example, why you want to do an MBA, why you want to do an MBA now, what is your prime motivation for doing an MBA, etc., etc., etc. So be very clear about it. We are going to have a discussion on that later. And other thing will be about your stories. So a lot of stories also become an important part of an behavioral interview. See, most of us, when we go for an interview, do not prepare for this aspect. We try and memorize and cram in a lot of data, a lot of facts, because we do not know the kind of questions that can come. But an interviewer is looking at our personality, how we present ourselves, and therefore stories become an important part. I'll touch on that aspect later. And the third point is the dynamic phase of an interview. So that when I say an interview will be dynamic, or there is always a dynamic quotient involved for an MBA interview, it means that they can pretty much ask you anything, and anything from current affairs, anything from industry, anything, any data, any fact, any figure. They can ask you to present your opinions. They can give you a case study and then ask you to analyze it. They can pose in a situation in which you have to explain how you are going to react or handle that situation. So that becomes a dynamic part of it. It also includes the abstract questions that they may put forth to you, and you will have to tackle them. So these are the three categories in which you can define almost 95-99% of MBA questions. They'll either be technical or be behavioral or are going to be dynamic in nature, more or less. So today what we are going to discuss here in about an MBA interview is basically we are going to focus on the behavioral aspect of it. Now moving on, what do interviewers look for? So, from our experience of discussions with a lot of interviewers, what it is that an MBA interviewer is going to look in you. Number one, good communication skills. As an MBA student, you should understand that it is very, very, very important for you to know how to sell yourself. And for that, communication skills become are of paramount importance. So if you have good communication skills, you definitely have some amount of edge over the competition. Secondly, good analytical skills. The ability to analyze a large amount of data and provide and assess what that data means is going to be a very, very important part for your interview. So they are going to put you in a situation where they can assess your analytical skills. Another thing, ability to think and talk objectively. MBA interviewers, they will find ways to unnerve you. They are going to put you in situations or they are going to ask you questions that will make you emotional or you would want to answer them emotionally. You should not do that. You need to understand that any which way it is a professional setup in which you are interacting with an MBA interviewer, which means you have to think and talk objectively. No loose remarks, no statements which are not backed by data, facts, or figures. So you have to be very, very sure of making any kind of statement that you are putting in, especially when they are trying to put you in a corner or they want you to speak emotionally. After that, ability to handle pressure. Yes, the interviewers, there will be a tough interview or a soft interview. There will be an interview where they're going to put you in a lot of pressure. So you should keep your calm and try and handle that pressure properly. We will talk about that. And awareness about the industry and the world. So as I said, you should update yourself on the current affairs and more specifically about the industry that one you are working in and two that you want to go to. Now why I'm saying it, I'm going to come to that in the next slide. So any doubts, any questions till this point from the people who are participating? If you have any questions, I can take them now. So when they focus, Samit is asking, so when they focus on any speciality, what should be the response? So let me understand this correctly. You want to know when interviewers begin to ask you questions about a particular industry or a particular, say, a particular concentration of study, like finance or marketing or HR or consulting. Like, is your question on those lines? Means our current specialty to what we want to pursue? That's a good question. That's a good question. So that we are going to cover that part when we are going to talk about why MBA. So just hold on to that question. And with that, we are going to move to the pretty much the agenda. I see there are few more attendants who have joined the conversation. I welcome Saurav and Sahil. So you have not lost out on much. We are just starting with the agenda here, and whatever doubts and queries that you guys have, you feel free to put it in the chat box. So starting with the agenda, first of all, what we are going to talk to you guys about is going to be the resume. After that, sorry, all right, after that we are going to discuss the basic questions, basic behavioral questions that are typically asked in MBA interviews and that you should have a clear understanding of, and you should prepare them well. Then the importance of developing stories, I will elaborate that later. And then lastly, tips and tricks. All right, two tips and tricks to max out your MBA interviews. Sahil is saying that he's not able to hear my voice. Just hold on for 1 second, please. Mm. All right, am I audible to Saurabh? Am I audible to you? All right, no problem. So, Sahil, just drop me a ping anytime you are able to figure it out. Let me know what your status is. All right. So the very first thing that we are going to talk about is the resume. Guys, I have seen many students commit this faux pas. People tend to make very big resumes for their MBA interviews. Your resume should be a one pager, period. You should not be making a two-page or more resume is made only only if you have an experience over 10 years, or if you have been working in the industry and you have changed many jobs. Otherwise, your resume has to be of simply one page. Second thing is importance of data, facts, and figures with respect to you. So when you are developing your resume, you will be writing about your jobs. I'm really sorry. Excuse me for 1 second. Sahil, are you able to hear me? Okay, fine. Good. So, moving on, the importance of data, facts, and figures with respect to you. So, when you are writing about your job, if there is certain achievement that you have had at your workplace, mention about it and write about it in data, facts, and figures. So, for example, in my case, I had done a project that led to a cost saving of 700,000, and I'm giving my direct example to you here. I was sitting in for an ISB interview, and in my resume, I had written that one of my achievements is I had done a particular cost cutting project which led to saving of somewhere around 700,000 rupees. So I had put that fact and figure right there. So a lot of discussion of my ISB interview went on that particular fact only, because they started asking me how did you achieve that, and then I told them the process. There was some backstory of industry, American airline story that I had also prepared in order to answer this question, or from where I got the idea or the inspiration to do that. So one of the things, key takeaway here is, when you put in data, facts, or figures in your resume, when you talk about your achievements in your resume, that you have achieved this, that you have achieved that, and suppose an interviewer asks you, all right, so you have did you have saved this much amount of money, or you have achieved, had a certain achievement, talk about it. Please prepare a small 1 to 2 lines of a backstory to it. So when you're talking about it, please say that I drew out the inspiration for this achievement because I saw something like this happening in the industry, or I was reading an article in HBR, Harvard Business Review. I was reading, I saw something on a show someplace, and that is from where I got the idea. So you are not just talking about, all right, this was my achievement, this is what I did, and the story ends there. You are relating it closely to you, and you are also giving the interviewers an idea into your thought process. You are letting them know that you are not just an individual who does things for the sake of doing things. You are letting them know that you are someone who can draw inspiration and ideas from variety of different things and implement them, which is a quality that they love. Now, moving on, point number 3 uh, is just have a very professional format for your resume when it comes to content, language, as well as especially the email. Guys, all those who are listening to me right now, please have a good make a good professional email when you are putting it up on your resume. Do not, the funniest one that I think I have ever read is kittycat7 at the rate yahoo.com or something like that, or coolboy13 or something like that. Guys, please understand, make a very professional email ID, your first name dot your last name at the rate gmail.com or yahoo.com or whatever. I'm just going to share a template of a resume with you. I hope you are able to see that. Just one second. All right. I hope you guys are able to see this now. I'm sharing a sample template resume with you. Just one second. Okay, yeah. I'm okay, good. All right, just one second. All right. So this is a sample resume that we guys have made, and you guys can download it from our website at Modern Pathshala, or otherwise we guys can even mail this sample resume to you. So the important things here: your name, below that your email ID, your phone number, your current address, your permanent address. A single line objective, although even if you don't put an objective won't matter, but it's always good to put an objective. But make sure if you are putting an objective, please ensure that it is written by you, you know what that is, and you are passionate about it. So it should not come across as something mechanical. Your education, the university, the school, the date of graduation, the degrees that you have had. In a very close knit scenario, it can be closed in here. Then the employment history. So try and follow a very professional format like this, wherein you're talking about the employer, what your role has been in that firm, the duration of employment, and what were the major achievements for you during that time frame. And as you can see, saved $100,000 by identifying obsolete parts that were still labeled for production, etc. So these are the areas where you can put in your facts and figures. Again, so after your professional employment history comes the leadership and community service experience. So for this particular person, it was a big highlight. It may not be the same for you. You can write here instead of that extracurriculars or extracurricular activities, and then follow it up again by your achievements. So that is how you can build this last part of your resume. So it is basically going to be divided into three parts: the education overview, your employment history, and here if a leadership is an important part of what you do, then leadership, otherwise your achievements, and then after that your extracurriculars. And that is how you can close your entire resume in one single page. Please ensure that you follow this kind of a template. Now, going back, so is there any other doubt on the resume? Yes, we are going to mail this to you guys. So any doubt on resume till now? You guys can put in your doubt on chat here. A resume format for freshers. All right, Avinash. So I understand you might be a fresher here. So for the resume format for a fresher, what we are going to do is, so your employment history is not going to be there. It will be your academic record. And just one second, please. instead of your employment history, it is going to highlight your the major project that you have done, your internships that you have done, the minor project that you have done, and then you can follow it up by your extracurricular activity. If there is any specific or a major academic achievement, then feel free to include it here. So what we'll do is, we'll also design a format for the fresher and we'll mail it to you. Will that be okay with you guys? I hope that will be okay with you guys. All right, moving on. Uh, just one second, I'll bring you guys back to the presentation. All right. Now the next topic is the basic questions that are asked in an MBA interview that you should have an answer for. Number one, why MBA? Why MBA is one of the most important questions that they are going to ask. So have a clarity on that. See, if you are a working professional, then a why MBA is going to translate to if you are making a whether you are making a transition or you want to grow in your industry. So more or less in a generalist comparison, these are the two scenarios. So if you are happy to stay in your industry but you want to grow further, you want to find ways to fast track your career, that is why you want to do an MBA. Or if you are making a transition, so suppose you are in IT and you want to go to marketing, that is why you want to do an MBA. An MBA education is an enabler that is going to give you knowledge, skills, and it is going to prepare you to take on challenges outside. An MBA, so you are going to be an individual who is going to use that knowledge and skills, and it is up to you how well you can use it. So always be ready with such kind of answer for why MBA and how it is related to you. So one touch point here for the people who are working, who have certain amount of work experience. When you are answering a why MBA question and you say that, well, I've been in IT for a while and now I want to move over to marketing. If you are making a career transition, you have to think of two things. Number one, what it is that you have done in your current position that excites you about that transition. So suppose you are an IT person and you are completely in a technical domain and you want to move out to marketing. So what it is that right now that excites you about marketing? Have you tried to gain any experience? What have you learned about marketing on your own? Now they understand you would not have been doing marketing projects because that is not your domain. But even if you read upon it, even if you gain a clarity on what the whole domain is all about, and you are able to talk intelligently about it, it creates a lot of difference. Secondly, when you're talking about marketing, or any other domain for that matter of fact, you need to understand what are the kind of opportunities that will be available to you. So for example, you are coming from automobile sector in a technical job, or from an IT sector in a technical job, and you're moving to marketing or you're moving to HR, you need to understand the kind of opportunities that will be here, so that you can research by talking to current alumni of that particular college, and you can also search a little bit about that on the internet to gain you the to give yourself the clarity. Now secondly, just one second. Okay, another questions, why MBA now? That is again a very important question, although most of the okay, yeah. I kind of missed on that. So why MBA for a fresher? So when you are talking about when you are a fresher and you want to do an MBA, you are kind of on a disadvantage there, because an MBA is going to prepare you how to handle the business, and it's always better to have some understanding of how a business is managed by first working in a corporate and then going out. But for this question, why MBA for a fresher, what you can answer is, if you have a specific industry or if you have a specific idea in your mind that you want to pursue. So, for example, you want to open up your own business, or you want to become an entrepreneur, or you have any interesting product related ideas that you want to execute. So, you can relate it to your experience of, say, if you were managing any fests or any clubs in your college from where you have had the first experience of dealing with the industry people, then relate it to the ideas that you have and the objective that you want to pursue. And an MBA is going to provide you those skills early on in your career so that you will be able to maximize the output as soon as you will be stepping out of an MBA school. You will be industry ready. That is the kind of perspective with which you can target this question. See, if you do not have, as a fresher, if you do not have the clarity of what it is that you want to do post an MBA, then you are definitely at some disadvantage. But if you have the clarity, then you can always uh, devise your answer around the fact that even if you go to an industry, it may not be able to give you that kind of experience or exposure that in a couple of years, and again you would want to do an MBA. So it's better for you to do an MBA, gain that adequate business understanding and the necessary skills, and then you can take yourself forward. All right. So I'll go on to the next question now. Uh, Next thing is why MBA now? Why MBA now again is very important. Why not 2 years later after gaining work experience, or why not 5 years later? Why MBA now? So you have to be very clear on what are the circumstances, the opportunities that you have that make this an important decision for you. Which concentration or specialization? Guys, please think a lot, think long and hard about this. What do you want to do an MBA in? Most of the people, they try and figure it out when they are in a B school. An MBA interviewer is going to look for an individual who has a clear cut idea of what it is that they want to do as they are stepping into the school, and they would want to poke you and understand that. So if it is marketing, please prepare what it is about marketing that excites you, what kind of research you have done, are you well prepared for that? So once you have that idea, whether it is hardcore experience or whether it is a hardcore experience or whether it is something that you have learned, it should resonate well with you. All right, I'm getting a query from Avinash. I'll be fine. Avinash, I'll answer that in a FAQ. Thank you for putting that on. Guys, if you have anything else that comes to your mind, please keep on putting it in the chat box. I will answer that when we'll be doing the FAQs. Next thing is why MBA from this school. Guys, spend half an hour before you go for an interview to go to the MBA school's website, look at their stats, look at the clubs that are there that are going to be beneficial for you, study the school, if possible talk to the alumni. It makes a lot of difference. If I am an IIM Lucknow interviewer and you are sitting there and you tell me, well, I have spoken with 5 or 6 or 3 IIML pass outs, IIML alumni, and they have told me that these are the clubs, or this is something that the school is good at, and it resonates directly, or it aligns directly with my goal of wanting to do an MBA. It creates a good impression. So please always be ready to figure out why MBA from the school. At the same time, some of you would have had multiple admits, and questionnaires are going, and people are going to ask you this question. All right, so you have an MBA admit from IIM Indore and IIM Lucknow. Which one will you choose? Never ever berate the other school. Your answer should never be, I will come to IIM Lucknow or I will come to IIM Ahmedabad because IIM Lucknow is not that good. Your answers should never be like that. Never berate any school, never berate any option. Your answer should come on the line that your school is better aligned to meet my career goals and objectives. That is why I want to come to you. It's not that I don't want to go to them, but your school, your curriculum, the clubs that you have, the opportunities that are offered to me in your school aligns better to my goals, and that is why your school is the best choice. That other school is also a very good school, and it might align well with someone else's choice, but your school is, so you need to figure it out, and you'll need to answer that accordingly. That is why always study the school website before you step in for your interviews. Another thing, your short term and your long term goals. So as Avinash has just put in that I aspire to manage my own business after 10 to 15 years, but I have not decided the field yet. Would it be fine to say this? Now, that's very good, but how you're putting it is in a slightly raw fashion. So this is where your short term long term goals come into the picture. So figure out why you want to do an MBA. I want to do an MBA, and take it chronologically. I want to do an MBA because I want to gain that necessary skills and experience so that I can start building a career for myself in the field of marketing. So Avinash, let's just say that your business has to do something with consultation 10 or 15 years down the line. So in relation to that, design your short-term goal. The MBA that you want to do, in my short-term goal, okay, but you are saying that I have not decided the field yet. That's completely okay to say, but your short-term goal should be clear, that after my MBA I want to work in this industry and this function and gain a lot of experience. And once I have learned the business tricks, I will find a way, or I will find something that I'm passionate for and that excites me. Once I'll develop expertise on that, then my long-term goal is that in 10 to 15 years, I want to develop this as my own business, and I want to start to manage it on my own business. So initially after my MBA, I want to work with corporate. I want to explore, I want to experience different opportunities to understand what are the different kind of business ideas that I can get and I can be a part of. Banking on that experience, in next 10 to 15 years I see myself running my own business company. However, right now, because I do not have that exposure, I have not yet decided what is that particular field or concentration going to be. So I hope, Avinash, that pretty much answers what you want to know, or how it is that you can put your answer to the interviewer. And after that, strengths and weaknesses. Guys, please prepare your strengths, and with every strength, prepare at least 4 to 5 strengths, and with every strength, maintain, keep a 1 or 2 liner instance where you have displayed that strength. And same goes for the weakness. You can have only 1 or 2 weaknesses, but you should have good weaknesses. I mean to say, as cliched as it sounds, but you should have good weaknesses. For example, for me, the weakness that I have always spoken about is is that I'm verbose. So I like to explain a lot of things, and I'm very verbose, and I like to talk a lot. But I'm also working on it. So every time I say my weakness, I tell them the actions that I'm doing so that it does not look like a weakness. So I will talk about STAR methodology of representing yourself later, and that directly comes out of the weakness that I have. But similarly, you can have weakness like that. It should not look preposterous, the weakness that you have, or it should not look very pompous. All right. I have a weakness that I cannot expect anything but the best. That's pompous. All right. So Anusha says that, can I say I want to be an entrepreneur and I have an idea too, not sure how to execute it. So I strongly feel MBA is a platform for me to have a clear picture about how to execute. Okay, Anusha, the very first thing that is going to come slinging your way is, who says that you need an MBA to be an entrepreneur? There are so many people out there, so many entrepreneurs out there who are doing a damn good job at whatever it is that they are doing because they are passionate about it and they don't have an MBA. So why do you want to do an MBA? So when you say that you want to be an entrepreneur and you have an idea, if it is possible for you to tell them that you have played with that idea, you have tried to execute that idea in some way, that is going to give you a better picture. All right, that is also going to put you in a good spot. But you have to tell them that yes, I am an entrepreneur, I have this idea. Currently, the skills that I have, and I have these skills. With these skills, I'm not very confident in my own ability of executing that idea. So instead of saying that you are not sure how to execute that idea, wherein you are just saying that that you probably have not done enough research, or you have not put yourself in the field, you give them the exact reality, or you do a reality check, that if you are not able to execute an idea right now, why it is so? Because you do not have the necessary experience, because you do not have the necessary skills. For example, your idea might need to do something with say pharmaceuticals, and you know nothing about pharmaceuticals. So right now you do not have that necessary experience, or you may not have the business understanding. So you have to tell them that these are the skills that I have, these are the skills that I don't have. And in an MBA, I want to gain the skills that I don't have, which is going to help me execute this idea. All right, Sahil. Okay, your question I will take somewhat later in the discussion. But right now, for Anusha, I think this is how you should execute the idea. I think you have heard all that and taken a note of that. That be clear about the skills that you want to gain in an MBA that are going to help you execute that idea. So, if not anything else, it does tell the interviewer that you are someone who knows, who understands herself, himself or herself. You are someone who is able to, who has done the proper SWOT analysis. So that gives a good idea. So that is how you should execute that. Now, moving on, please prepare for your achievements, failures, and learning from them. Not a so when I'm talking about achievements and failures, one thing, if you are putting in achievements in your resume and then they ask you about your achievements, please ensure that whatever that is there in your resume does get covered. Number one. And whatever achievements that you are putting in, please talk about them passionately as possible. All right. So for example, Sahil is writing, I'm a national level table tennis player, you know. But if that is going to be an achievement in a resume, well, that's impressive in one sorts. But again, if you can add some data, some fact figure that helps me put how big an achievement that is, bring it in perspective, that is going to be, something as an interviewer that I will be most excited at. So I am at a national level table tennis player, I have been ranked this, or I have won this competition, or I have participated in these many tournaments, I have won these many matches, something like that, data or stat that helps me understand how big an achievement is that what you are writing about. For example, in my case, I am a published author. I have published a poetry anthology. So if I just write I am a published author, I have that is an achievement, but then does not give an idea to an interviewer of how big that achievement is. So how I ended up tweaking this was that it is my achievement that I'm a published author, and my book was showcased in World Book Fair in Delhi. So that kind of creates an impact. Similarly, think about all the failures that you have had, because and the kind of learnings that you have drawn out for them. You are not perfect. No one is. So if they ask about any experiences where you have had to learn, these experiences are going to come into the picture. And think about it beforehand. Before you go in for an MBA interview, these things should be clear to you. It should not happen that sitting in front of the interviewer, you are trying to figure out, okay, this was the area where I had failed once. No. Prepare these things in advance. They may ask you, they may not ask you, but it is going to help you figure out how to answer MBA interview questions properly. So be very clear on that. Now moving on, the importance of developing stories. Now this is very important. You should all develop few stories that you have. Few stories. Number one, develop a leadership story. Where in your organization or where in your career you took leadership role, where you were not asked to be a leader, but you went on to take a leadership role. Develop a small story about it and practice it so that your role as a leader comes out properly. So if there is any kind of discussion, okay. So, if there is any kind of discussion that happens on leadership or about achievements, these are the stories that you can say. So, these stories, when I say stories, they are going to be the stories about your life. All right. So, for example, they ask you, what do you mean by success? What does success mean to you? Or what does leadership mean to you? Or what does team building mean to you? Instead of saying that leadership means being able to lead and inspire people, etc., etc., instead of going into the rhetoricals, you should be coming up with a story that, sir, I believe that leadership means ability to inspire people. In my experience, there was this one instance where I was in a certain situation with two, three other colleagues, and we had a challenge, and we stepped up and did this and did that. So, what you are doing is you are connecting to that question, you are personalizing that question. So, when you develop these stories, the qualities that the interviewers want to look at you, they come out automatically without actually being told about, without actually talking about them. So they would know from your leadership story that you have taken such a role despite saying leadership anywhere in the entire story. Similarly, the kind of management challenges that you have faced, so whether you were in college or you are working, the team based challenge, the situational conflicts. So think of the situations in your workplace where you have taken a leadership role, where you have had any management challenges, managing people or managing resources, where you have had situational conflicts, that in a situation there was a conflict with your boss or with your junior or with your colleague. Change management, where some changes were brought upon and you were not comfortable with it but you adapted to it, etc., where you have had a lot of impact, as well as the things that inspire you. And always try and find a story about inspiration, things that inspire you, and link it to your MBA. So for example, if as Anusha said that you want to be an entrepreneur, so link it to a story why you want to be an entrepreneur. That because probably you saw Elon Musk and you are inspired by that, or probably there's someone in your family or your friend. Develop a story that inspires you and relate it to your bigger goal of an MBA. That is going to help create a lot of impact. Now, we are coming on to the last part. Sahil, I have seen your question. I will talk about that. Few tips and tricks. Number one, star. So, when you are being asked any question or any case study or any experience in an MBA interview, STAR methodology is the methodology to follow to answer. S stand for situation. So first of all, you explain the situation. T stand for task. Task that was assigned to you. So the situation was you had to complete a project which needed 1200 man hours. You were a team of 8 people and you had 2 months to do it. The task assigned to you was the management and coordination for the entire project. Action. What was the action that you took to complete that task that was assigned to you. You designed a new platform, you designed new software, you created a system in which you brought people in, or you started doing you started doing weekly review meetings with the team to assess the how the project was moving on. So whatever action that you took, and then the project that was supposed to be completed in 2 months got completed in say 1.5 months. So these things become very, very, very important. Whenever you're answering any question, try and follow the STAR methodology, especially when that answer question is about your experience. So explain the situation, the task assigned to you, the action that you took, and the result that you achieved, especially when you're talking about your achievements that you have done. This thing is going to be very, very helpful. Now, second thing, refrain from making any judgments. All right, you should not be making any offhand judgments regarding anything. So, suppose they ask you a question on reservations, suppose they ask you a question on any other thing, you should not be making any and all kind of judgments as to how to go about these questions. Have your opinions. They will ask you, and MBA interviewers are going to ask you about your opinions on various cases, but make sure that these opinions are neutral. They are totally and completely neutral. Support your opinions by facts and figures. So if you think that the current fiscal policy by Raghuram Rajan is not going to work out, current fiscal policy by Raghuram Rajan is not going to work out, then please ensure that you have got your opinions and facts in order to support your stand. All right. Know your hobbies and passions. So this is where one other question by Sahil, that you are a national level tennis player. How can I have a question in sports for MBA? So trust me, if you are a national level tennis player, they can ask you the top ranking Indian players, top ranking players in the world. You know the kind of techniques that you use. Can I relate star? Okay, star technique to sports. I'll come to that later. But answering your previous question, Sahil, they pretty much can ask anything about anything when it comes to sports, and especially if it is your hobby. So if you are saying that your hobby is listening to music, or your hobby is reading, or your passion is music, please be well prepared about it. That's very important. Be well prepared about it. You do not have to be a pundit or an expert on that, but at least whatever it is, that do not just throw out things. Do not just say that you love reading when you read only one book or half a book in the entire year. That's not cool. All right. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it from my side, and now I'm going to start taking questions from you all. So, number one is okay. I think I've answered the other questions before of Anusha, of Avinash, that you had the experience. Now, Sahil, your national level tennis player, that is impressive. Then, sir, one thing to ask, how can learnings be explained through achievement? Well, learnings can obviously be explained through achievement. For example, if you achieve to be a national level tennis player, in order to do that, you had to follow a certain process. You had to push yourself to the limit. You had to discipline yourself, discipline your body, and discipline your mind. And you had to learn new techniques. You had to be open to new ideas. You had to learn to trust your coach. And these are the skills that you have developed that you can bring to your workplace. So these are the learnings that you gain from your achievement that you can discuss. So similarly with every achievement, the process that you had to employ to achieve something is going to give you a lot of learnings. You should focus on that. All right. Sahil's another question was, can I relate star technique to sports? Well, that depends on the kind of question that comes your way. For example, if they ask you a factual question as to who's the top tennis player or table tennis player, well, you can't relate anything. You just have to answer the question factually. But if it is a descriptive question, if it is a question about you, where you have to explain a situation, so for example, they ask you what is the toughest match that you have ever had, or you want to show your quality, that I do not say they ask what is your quality, give me one good quality that you have, and you tell them I don't get unnerved in under pressure, and they ask you give me an example, and then you give an example of your table tennis match. That I am not sure whether you wanted to know this thing only. If not, then if you can elaborate your question and give it to me. But this is what I'm coming for. So you do not get unnerved under pressure. You can give an example of your match, that I was facing this opponent. It was high stakes. This was the pressure. So that is the situation. The task would be what you did, the action, and the result. So that's exactly So that is how you can also show your quality, as well as use the star technique to explain a situation. So star can be used anytime that you have to explain a situation. All right, anytime you want to talk about something personal, use this technique. Okay, Avinash, I got a terrible percentage in graduation. Any diplomatic way to justify it? Well, before we go to a diplomatic way, I would like to know why you got a terrible percentage in graduation and what is that percentage. Okay. Okay, Anusha, am I audible now? Can you hear me? All right, Sai, are you able to hear me? All right, so before Sai, let's take one question. Avinash, you got a terrible percentage at graduation. Diplomatic way to justify it. Well, first of all, as I was saying, we don't get good marks in my university. Corruption is one of the reasons. You really should not be saying that. That corruption is one of the reasons at your university, because see, at all times you are expected to have a certain amount of respect for the education institutes that you are a part of, whether it is MBA, whether it is BTech, whether it is diploma, whether it's your school. So that respect for your education institute has to reflect in all calls. So just by saying that you do not have in my universities because corruption is the reason, I don't think that is going to be a justifiable answer. You have to, I'm saying, can you please try and explain that why, what is the corruption bit? Because if there is any reason why it was because of your hard work or you got detracked or any other reason like that, then you can explain that. You can be honest about it. You can explain that. But this is something for which I'll actually have to probably sit down and talk to you exactly as to how to get an answer. All right, Avinash. So, what we'll do after this, because I think this is something in which I'll need to have a one-on-one with you. So, what we will do after this, we have your phone number. We'll schedule a call with you. I'll try and understand what your issue is and say we can customize a solution or customize an answer for that. Let's see if we can do that. because otherwise it's going to be a lengthy discussion here. And Sai had a question here. A GDPR personal session, well, as wonderful as it is, but right now we are just doing the interview sessions and not going in for. We are right now. We are not going in for a personal session, but I'll definitely put in the idea to the team and see if there is something that we can do about it. All right. All right. So meanwhile, any other questions that you have? All right. So Avinash, yeah, important current affair topics that you may want to look at right now is, of course, IS, GST, free basics, then India's stand on terrorism, the current situation, ongoing situation in Kashmir, uh, corruption in FIFA is one of those topics. Then of course, read a little bit about the odd even rule that was followed in Delhi, and the pro con analysis of that. Then what other? Then apart from that, all the other current affairs topic that you can think of, that might come your way. But I think these pretty much cover most of the important things that have been coming. You can also like to read upon all these uh, IPL like competitions that have started to come up. For example, Kabaddi League, for example, Football League, etc., and how they are helping sports person. Because I know of a few of my juniors who were grilled on these questions. So maybe it is something that you may want to take a look at. All right. Uh, Anything else apart from this? So I hope the session was helpful to you guys. I hope you have noted down all the main points that needed to be taken care of. Sai, I am not still sure if you are able to hear me because there is a question pending from your side. Let us see what that question is. Yeah, you took a year off from work to prepare for an MBA and making a transition from Argana and took off just to prepare for an MBA. Any suggestions to justify it? So, Sai, if you are able to. All right, Sahil. Okay. All right. Fine. First of all, Sai, I want to answer Anusha Sai's question. So, you have taken 1 year just to prepare for an MBA. You can talk about it. You can just tell them that before that you have had this much work experience, then you took a year off. Now, why you took an year off? You took an year off maybe A, just to prepare for an MBA, and B, to explore the options that you think will be best for you. So you will, I hope you have done some amount of research into marketing, considering that you have taken a year off and you prepared for an MBA through and through in this time period. So talk about that. Do not position it that you took a year off just to prepare for an MBA exam and you did not prepare for why you want to do an MBA and which strategy that you want to do an MBA, which part do you want to do an MBA for. You just say that I took an year off because I wanted to explore the different opportunities that are there, and you also tell them in that 1 year what are the different kind of things that are related to MBA that you guys have done, and then you can tell her, and then you can tell the interviewer that in this period you have also prepared for the MBA, and that is pretty much it about it. So that is how it can be justified. Saying it that you took it just to prepare for an MBA exam does not it's not okay. That's not going to float. However, when you justify that you have done your research, you have gained a little bit of experience as to, and also did a little bit of soul searching, and you wanted to explore different opportunities, say you wanted to travel or get an idea, yada yada yada, all those things, so that is probably going to help you a bit. So Avinash, you are a fresher, you want to pursue MBA in marketing. Apart from revising your subjects, anything else that you need to do? All right, you have revised your subjects, but are your subjects going to help you when to justify why you want to do in marketing? So you should have a solid reason for why marketing. What is the current things that you have done that have inspired you to take the decision of going into marketing in the first place? All right. And then what are the hardcore things that you have done till now that justify that you are a good cut for marketing? So for example, so that is where the importance of stories come into picture. Prepare your marketing story. Why marketing? Fill it up with examples, with instances wherein you did something or the other that excited you to go into marketing. And that is how you will be able to present yourself or sell yourself in a nice way to an MBA interviewers. All right. Okay, any other questions? All right, well, in case of any queries, so what we are going to do now is we are going to mail you guys who have attended this session to the link of a lot of lot of resources that we have, to the resume formats that we have, and maybe we'll find a way, if possible, to share the recording of this session with you, because so that you can maybe hear it a couple of times and gain some or the other pointers that you might have missed because of technical glitches or any other thing. And you know what, if you have any questions and queries, etc., drop us a mail with your question and queries, and we'll see if it is possible. Then at later this week we can have another session, but we are going to focus specifically on the questions and queries that you are going to have, and we can have an open mic session on that, so that we guys can also hear you. We were expecting a lot many people this time around, but so that we can also hear you, and we can interact in a much more formal manner than we did today. So right now in this session there are a lot of inputs that I have given to you for you guys to work on. Now what I would expect you guys to work on these things: prepare your resume. So maybe one thing that we can do, we are going to send you the resume drafts. Please prepare your resumes and send it to us, and along with your questions and queries, and let's see if it is possible then by Saturday or Sunday next Saturday or Sunday, let's have a session again wherein you guys are also going to be an interactive part of it. You guys are going to speak, and we are going to have discussions on your resumes, on the questions that you have, and any other things. So does that sound like a good idea to all? I'll just answer whatever questions that you have. Okay, cool. Cool. Well, all the best to you guys for all your upcoming interviews, and I hope you crack them and max all your interviews. All the best, and if there are any doubts, questions, queries, we'll send you a mail. Feel free to reply at that at any time. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. All right. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye bye.